This was a horrendous piece of trash. Easily the worst James Bond film so far. Let's get to the review. Welcome back everybody to another James Bond Tuesday as we talk about the 12th James Bond film in our series and the 11th in the official Eon series, Moonraker. After finishing the last film, I was very interested in checking out Moonraker. The poster suggests they are taking this Bond adventure to space, which they do manage to do, but only in the last 30 minutes. I know. Disappointing. Even better, this movie manages to be worse than The Man with the Golden Gun. I didn't think it could get any lower. Let's start off with the plot, if you can even call it a plot in this movie. Everything about it feels so forgettable, with a sinister plan that seems so outlandish and makes no sense. It's just another bland bad guy who wants to take over the world with some cosmic beam or something like that. This was my biggest issue in the last film as well, which was also directed by Lewis Gilbert. The writing is terrible, relying so heavily on its boring, stupid one-liners that feels so obnoxious, making Bond more of a jokester than a cool and sly MI6 spy that he is. The jokes were awful in this film and the worst of the series. This could be due to the overabundance of puns, but still a major issue. The Bond girls are also very forgettable and boring. They also brought back the best henchman of the series, Jaws, who was very menacing and a true threat in the last film, but they make him like a big, ugly Looney Tunes character, and he isn't a threat to Bond at all. The film is based on Ian Fleming's novel Moonraker, but hardly uses any of the source material as they don't actually go to space in the novel, which shows that the filmmakers wanted to cash in on the influential space movie at the time, Star Wars, which had become one of the highest grossing movies of all time with its groundbreaking visual effects. The biggest issue I have with this is that they were focused more on the money than the actual story, because I was so uninterested the entire time because it felt like it wanted to be on the same level of Star Wars, and it wasn't. Action is the weakest in the whole series because of how silly and campy the movie is. There are impressive setups to an awesome action scene, but then gets ruined by some silly jokes going on that makes this movie an unintentional spoof of itself, which is very disappointing. I didn't find myself ever getting excited about this movie. Sure, some of the action sequences can be entertaining and stupidly fun, but I found myself bored or making a mockery out of it most of the film. The product placement is a first of its kind to the Bond series that I found very annoying and distracting. In the previous films, they haven't used any, so this might be why I found the product placement so annoying, but the placements felt forced and obnoxious, mostly in a cable car fight scene. This movie does have some positives, with the return of Shirley Bassey doing the title song Moonraker, which is a solid song, and John Barry also comes back to do the score. Visual effects are pretty impressive since they doubled the budget from $58 million to around $121.9 million with inflation, and it shows in this film. There are a ton of awesome explosions and great big setup pieces that give the film the big scale that it needs, which makes the movie fun and interesting. The film was also nominated for Best Visual Effects, which could be because of the last 30 minutes with cool space scenes that look good for its time, but haven't aged so well. Production design, helmed by Ken Adam, is absolutely fantastic. His work on most of these films have turned out excellent. This is one big highlight, crafting these massive sets that look incredible, especially in the last 30 minutes, which is truly remarkable. His presence in these movies helped make these Bond films come to life and bring us into the grand scale of the world. Cinematography looks great in this film, being the best looking Bond film up to this point, which could be due to having the biggest budget so far with inflation. The film brought on first timer in the series, Jean Tournier, who I'm not familiar with his work as it would be his only entry in the series. The space scenes looked the best and had nice contrast of color. Lewis Gilbert does a solid job directing the film, with being his last in the series. Overall, this is easily the worst Bond film so far, just because of how boring and uninteresting this film is. It lacks a balance of the silly campiness and intense action with a delightful story and memorable characters. Anytime a Bond film tries to get on the trends of cinema at the time, it doesn't hold up and feels noticeable in that way. This is a bad movie in every way possible. I'm giving this film a 3 out of 10. Let me know if you have seen Moonraker and what did you all think of the film and where it ranks in your Bond film rankings. I want to know all those things down below in the comment section. Next week, we're going to be reviewing the next Bond film, For Your Eyes Only, which was the film that was supposed to come out after The Spy Who Loved Me, but they wanted to be like Star Wars, so now we finally get this film. It is on Amazon Prime, Hulu, and free on YouTube with ads, so check it out for next week's video. As always, I will see you all in the next video.